Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. I just wanted to do a short video today of my newest StencilGirl stencil. It's another one inspired by my trip to Ireland almost a year ago, which is kind of hard to believe. So this is the stencil. It was inspired by a statue in St. Patrick's Cathedral. I always like to show kind of the stencil and what it looks like on a white background, but today I thought I would pull out some of the other stencils that I've had released from the same collection and show how you can possibly use them together. I don't really know what I'm going to end up with here, but I thought I would do that. And today I'm going to actually use pan pastels. I don't use them as often as I should, but I really love them, and they work great for these stencils because they're pretty detailed and really fine, but the pan pastels really kind of grab into the texture of the stencil. So here is the newest stencil. It's a 9x12. It's a stone statue. The hands right here, I don't know if you can really see, but the statue's hands were kind of praying in the cathedral, and then the face was really dark in the background and it kind of melted away, so that's why the face is, you can tell it's a face, but it kind of melts into the background. So the first thing I'm going to do, I gessoed the background of my art journal page, so I'm just going to add some color here to the new stencil. Let's see, let's use, I'm going to use some pinks here. And with pan pastels, if you've never used them, you can apply them, these are the little tools that come with the pan pastels. I know some people use cosmetic sponges with them as well. I find that the tools that actually come with the pan pastels work the best. I think they hold up to it, and you can tell this is pretty grimy, but no worries with the tools that you have. If you wipe them off on paper towel when you're done with this color, you can use it for other colors, so it doesn't really transfer. It's a soft pastel, so you do have to set it on your page, and I'll show you what I use here in a minute to set my pan pastels, and I use it also if I'm using charcoal. I set it with charcoal, so you can see it applies to the paper really well. So I'm going to clean off my tool and bring in some other color. I think I'm going to go for this really bright blue and just start blending it into some of these areas. And again, pan pastels blend beautifully. I'm just going to go around the outside edges a little bit. Oops. Keep moving my stencil. And I'll put some of this blue down here. You can always tape your stencil down if it moves too much, but that's just another step in the process that I want to get into putting color on a page. Ooh, I got red instead. Kind of liked that red. Maybe we'll put the red up here in the lips. So we'll take this off so you can see. Look at that amazing image from the pan pastels. It looks amazing. I love, love, love how these stencils work with pan pastels. So I could set this if I wanted, but I think what I'm going to do first is grab one of my other stencils and see what we can do. And I will tell you, I grabbed this stencil, the arch, the cathedral arch, and this one, which is the stone face, all the time because I do the same thing. I loved this shape right here over the cathedral. This was actually from St. Patrick's Cathedral as well. And what I like to do is create like halo effects around the heads and the faces. So I think I'm going to do that. And yes, the stencil isn't as big as the face, but no worries because you can move the stencil. So I think what I'm going to do is place that there. And let's see, what color? Maybe I'm going to go ahead and use this black. So let's go ahead and put some of that on there. And again, because I haven't set these, the pan pastels are still blending, which is kind of what I'm going for. So you can see how that really starts to look. And the other thing that I like to do is make it whiter. So obviously you can tell the stencil's this way. So I'm just going to place the stencil to the side and keep going with this archway shape so you can see what that looks like. And you can move the stencil. You don't have to use it exactly how it is. So I like to, like if you wanted to make a complete like halo around, the other thing that I do is just rotate my stencil, and then you get kind of that halo effect. And then you can also flip it around if you want a similar design on this side. Let's go ahead and get that here. And I think that's it. That black, I am getting a lot of powder, and you can see me blowing it off. I'm going to probably have to start setting because you can see it's starting to smear here, but I love using that archway. Obviously you can use it just as the arch as well, but I like using the archway around the faces like that. I think the other thing too, I think I'm going to put actually like, and I might have to set this first because I don't want to place that on there. Let's see what other stencils we have. Let me set this first. So what I use is Spectrafix. It's all natural, doesn't have any odor, and it's great for pastels and chalks and charcoals and things like that. So let me move my pastels out of the way. I don't want to spray them. So all you do on the first one is a really light spray. You don't want to wet it. Let it dry for a few minutes. Come back, spray it again. I usually do about 3 layers of it, and then it will be affixed to the page. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll be back and we'll play with some of the other stencils on this side of the page. See you in a minute. Okay, I am back, and I had to put several layers on this side. The black really smears, but I think when I finish and paint around it, I embrace that because it'll create like a smoky effect on it. So let's try this side, and I was thinking of taking my Gall stairs. So this is from the Kilman & Gall old vintage Victorian prison in Dublin, Ireland. I'm always drawn to this shape. I love this shape. I use this stencil a lot. Let me move my pastels. So I think what I'm going to do is I really like kind of the imagery of this shape. And I like the lines too. I use it a lot for journaling because it creates kind of a organic journal effect. Just a second, I gotta make some room here for my pastels. They're in my way. So I could write journaling here. I mean, it almost looks like, I mean, if I did it this way, like this person is speaking, and I kind of like that too. So maybe we'll do that. And I'm digging this red, so I'm going to go ahead and go right over what I did before. And you can see now it's set. Let me zoom in here. It's set so it's not moving the pan pastel underneath. If I had not put the Spectrafix on it, it would have blended with the colors I had underneath. So let's go ahead and you can see when I was spraying the Spectrafix, it's actually acting as a resist on my paper. There were spots of it. So note to self, if you don't want those spots, you should wipe it off of your paper right away before it dries. But I kind of, you know, it's one of those unexpected things that I kind of am loving. Kind of goes with these circles that are here. So let's a little bit more red here. And a little more red here. I might actually make that black so you can see it creates like this person's screaming or yelling out that way. And just like the other ones, if you wanted to continue on with these lines, if they weren't long enough, you could line this up and just keep extending your lines. I am going to use some of these, more of the circles here on the bottom to fill in some of these spaces. And let's go for a different color here. It's like a brown, but I kind of like that deepness. I might go back over some of the other stuff. Let's add some in here. Just filling in these spaces. Fill in with this. And since it's not quite wide enough, we'll just move the stencil. No problem. And I think I am going to fill this in with this darker, it's like a rust color. It's a little bit deeper than that red. All right, and I want this off the edge over here. And same with here. I want it right off the edge of my paper. And I'm not being super specific or careful with it, but so that's that. I kind of really like that. And obviously this is just the background, so I'll do probably some doodling and some outlining of some of that. And I do think I am going to put my words right here because it looks like this person is speaking. So that is how you can incorporate the staircase. So I was going to also put in here this face. This is the stone face, and I pull this one out. It's probably the one I use besides the staircase, probably the most. But I kind of want to put the face right here, like it's in this person's hands. So let's see, what color? Could go with the blue. I could go with, let's see what we have. Yeah, let's do this blue. Blue or the black? I can do blue first. If it's not quite dark enough, we'll go with the black. And I have noticed since I put that Spectrafix on here, it's not grabbing the pastels as much as it did before. So you have to really work the pastels in just a little bit more. Like up there, this black really grabbed it. You could always add a layer of clear gesso on top of this too, and it definitely would then grab, but I'm going to kind of just go with this messy look. And see, it didn't really grab it. So what I might do with this is use some black acrylic paint on top of there. because that would really make it pop, and I think that's what I might do. Oh, let's see what else we have. We have the Kilman and Gall doorway. Let's see, what shall we do here? First of all, I'm going to add just some color here, so you can see all those spots of the Spectrafix. You see how fast it is to really add color to your page. You can see that there. And again, I can add acrylic paints to this. I can add watercolors to it. Let's see here. Maybe just for, I think what I might do is go ahead and add more Spectrafix on top of this and get my acrylic paints out, just so I can get more of a defined image to the background. So I'll be right back. Alright, I have put Spectrafix on this, so I think I'm ready for the next step. The other thing I did too, I actually went and I don't usually wash my stencils, as you can see, but I did rinse them because it had the pan pastel powder on them, and I really didn't want that to be transferring to my project. So I'm going to go ahead and put this down here again, and I'm going to use black, just regular black acrylic paint, and I'm just going to lightly dab. I just use a cosmetic sponge. That's kind of my tool of choice. I can get a big bag of them, relatively inexpensive. And when this paint dries on the tip, I just cut it off and keep going. Obviously it gets a little smaller, but sometimes it's nice to have those small ones because you can get into really small areas. I'm not going to use the whole stencil because I really want to focus on the face, so you can see how that just pops off of this image just with acrylic paint. So here you can see the pan pastels and the acrylic paint. So we have not used the doorway stencil and the train station. So let's see what we can do with these. I like this one. So this is a train. You can tell this stencil is used a lot. You can really see the shape on here, but I love this imagery right here. I don't want black because I want the focus to be here. So I'm going to get a color of paint, acrylic paint, that's somewhat similar to this. Let's see what I have here. That one might do, unless we go more purpley. Actually, I like that one. I'll use that one. Alright, so what I'm going to use the train stencil for is just some imagery, and I'm going to actually follow the line that I've created here for some of those shapes. And this is going to be a subtle, because the color is very similar to the background, so it's going to be a subtle pattern in the background, but that's kind of what I'm going for here. And to be honest, let's go ahead and we'll just take this stencil down. Since it is very similar to the colors in the background, it'll be just a subtle pattern. So you can subtly see some of those shapes there. It doesn't have to be overpowering the image. And like I do a lot of times with these 6x6, I'm just going to keep repeating because I'm using it for the background. The true image doesn't have to appear. So you can just see some of those subtle shapes. Get some more paint here. So using it that way, I don't have to, the background had some variation in colors, but this just adds a little something something to it. Because I am going to have the focus be on my main imagery here and the words that I end up putting here, but I like that a lot. And let's go ahead and do the same thing up here. So I'm just using the shape to follow the shape of this red section. That one is a lot more distinct. And if I wanted, I could also do it over here. Let me go ahead and do some of that. And kind of down here. And I think that is good for the background. So then the only stencil I have left is my doorway stencil. So let's see what I should do with this. Maybe I will use that after I add some painting and doodling to my background. So I'm going to finish this page off camera, but I wanted just to show you how you can use my stencils together. This is not even close to being done. I have a lot of work to do for this, but I'll do it off camera. Look in the video because I will share pictures of my finished page. But this is how a lot of my art journal spreads start. I just start adding color and shapes, and there may be, I may not like this when it's all said and done. It may be, well, this is very busy for me, so I do tone it down a little bit, and there might be more paint on it, but that's what makes it interesting because that's where all you get that variation of color and pattern and texture to your background. So thank you so much for watching, and if you do make something with one of my stencils, please tag me. I would love to see what you make. I'm always inspired by how you interpret the shapes and the designs and how they are different from mine. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.